I've got it.
Great.
You all set? I'll let you know if there are questions.
Okay, thanks. All right. Welcome everyone to tonight's event featuring Bogle Vineyards. My name is Shannon and I'm a part of the New Hampshire Liquor and Wine Outlet social team. We have a super special event for you tonight as part of our 90 Days Around the World promotion. So we've taken you all over the world to various different wineries and distilleries, but tonight we find ourselves in Clarksburg, California at Bogle Vineyards. I am joined by two experts tonight. We have Jody Bogle, who is the Director of Public Relations for Bogle Wines, as well as Lisa Goslin from the New Hampshire Liquor and Wine Outlet's Wines Marketing Team. So Jody's going to be leading us through a really great program. I am here to answer any questions with her that you may have throughout the event. So please be sure to leave those in the comment section if you've joined us on Zoom or in the comment section on Facebook. So Lisa's here to answer any questions you may have regarding inventory or availability in any of our New Hampshire Liquor and Wine outlets. So again, leave those questions for her there and we'll get those routed over to her. For those of you that have pre-registered tonight, Jody and her team will be giving away a $50 New Hampshire Liquor and Wine Outlet gift card. We're going to be asking a trivia question later on tonight, so be sure you're listening super carefully to Jody's presentation. And with that, I will pass it off to you, Jody, to get started. What can you tell us about Bogle?
Thank you, Shannon, so much for having me. Hello, New Hampshire. You guys are a little bit ahead of me, but what I love is that you have given me the excuse to have a little afternoon wine tasting here in our tasting room in Clarksburg. So we are closed, but thank you for putting this together so we can start the weekend now. I hope everyone has had a good week. We are so excited to be here. For those of you who don't know, Bogle is a family-owned and operated winery. We have been doing this a very long time. The winery was started by my father and my grandfather in 1968. We planted 20 acres of Petit Syrah and Chenin Blanc just on the other side of, if you were here, you could see it, just on the other side of this barn over here. Our family had actually been farming in this region since the 1870s. Captain A.J. Bogle came west after the Civil War with his nephew, Samuel, and they set down our first roots here in the Sacramento Delta. So just to give you guys a little bit of kind of geography 101 of California. So most people, when they think of California, they think of palm trees and beaches. Although there's plenty of that in California, that's not where we're at. We are in Northern California in a rich agricultural region that was settled during the gold rush in the during those 1840s, right? People are coming in from around the world to find their fortune in the hills. They were all coming into San Francisco and they were making their way right through under the Golden Gate Bridge, right up the Sacramento River, right past our property into the Sierra Nevada foothills where people had found gold. So rather than making gold our fortune, we made crops our fortune. And for many, many years, we were part of a growing community that farmed to feed all those people coming in from around the world to find gold up in their hills. So that was how we got started here in the Delta. Generations past, interestingly enough, my great-grandfather, Vernon Bogle, they actually lost those original land holdings during the Depression. And my grandfather was a teenager at the time. I have to believe that was a really formidable experience for him to have lost the land that his family farmed, the dirt he grew up playing in, the house he most certainly was born in, was all gone. And so his family moved a few miles north to become tenant farmers for another rancher. So my grandfather grew up in that environment and went away to California Agricultural School, which is now UC Davis, and joined the Navy and fought in the Pacific Arena during World War II. And when he came back, he had saved enough money to put down roots again here in Clarksburg. So he settled on the property that we're actually on now. It's called our home ranch. And my grandfather was actually an award-winning corn farmer. He farmed row crops like corn, wheat, safflower for and shipped it back to the Midwest for DeKalb, which is a seed corn organization. And it wasn't until 1968 that he wanted to try something. He didn't have to replant every year, so he planted potatoes. They all immediately died. So he had somebody come out to take a look, and the gentleman said, "Mr. Bogle, I don't know what happened to your potatoes, but this is beautiful country for wine grapes." So as I said, my grandfather got 10 acres of cuttings of Chenin Blanc and 10 acres of cuttings of Petit Syrah from a guy named Skinny. And I know there's a story there. Unfortunately, I didn't, no one thought to ask him at the time what that story was. I think it was somebody who knew from the war. And he planted those vines, and that was the start of Bogle Vineyards. From 1968 to 1978, we actually grew those grapes and continued to increase acreage year over year. And we grew for other wineries. We grew for Wente Brothers, Charles Krug, Sebastiani, wines you've heard of. And then in 1978, we put it in the bottle under our own name for the first time. And I think we made about 400 cases of wine. I think they had to give most of it away as Christmas presents. So clearly, as that was in 1978. So here we are all these years later, and we have clearly grown. The business was built up, continued to grow by my grandfather, continued to be grown by my parents, Patty and Chris Bogle. And now today, my brothers, Warren, Ryan, and I are the third generation to manage the winery. So my brother Warren is our vineyard manager. He is the vineyard whisperer. He handles all what is now grown to 1,900 acres of wine grapes from those first 20. My brother Ryan is the numbers guy, which is really good, because if I was in charge of the numbers, we would have been out of business a long time ago. And I have the best job because I get to share wine with you guys. So I think it's time to start with our first wine. What do you guys think? I always try to open most of the wines ahead of time, but I always save one to open on camera because there's nothing like that pop, the first pop of opening a bottle. As long as I can get the cork to work.
Jody, I have to ask,
Yes.
what it's like to run a family business with two brothers. I have two older brothers, and I just can't even fathom it.
I'll tell you what I tell everybody when they ask me that question, because I do get it a lot. You know what? It's I don't tell my brothers how to run their business, and I ignore them when they tell me how to do mine. But really, it's the thing about family business. What's really wonderful about the way my brothers and I work together, everybody has their own niche. Everybody has their own area of expertise. I'm the people person. Warren's out in the vines. He's doing some amazing things with sustainability that we're going to talk about a little bit later. And Ryan is kind of making sure that all the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed. He's counting all those beans. So we really kind of have our own areas of expertise and our own niche, and it just works. So the first wine I wanted to talk about tonight is, if hopefully everybody out there has a glass of wine in front of them. Hopefully you haven't been waiting for me, sorry. But I want to start with our Chardonnay. This is our the wine we make the most of. It's the grape that we grow the most of here in Clarksburg. Clarksburg Chardonnay is phenomenal. Our winemaker, Eric Offit, who's been with us for 27 years, truly believes that Clarksburg is one of the most phenomenal places to grow Chardonnay. In fact, the vines, if you were here, you look right over this deck railing and you'd see, they're not beautiful actually right now. They're looking a little sad. They're at the end of their year. They're dropping their leaves and they're getting ready for a long winter's sleep. But the Chardonnay vines right here were planted in 1987. So they're about 5 or 6 years away from being replanted. As I said, this is our home ranch. And the grapes that we get off these vines produce Chardonnay clusters that are full of fresh, vibrant fruit flavors like apples, pears, really lush, rich mouthfeel, but also great acidity. One of the things that makes our Chardonnay so great is the fact that 50% of the blend goes through barrel fermentation in brand new American oak. It's hand stirred once a month, which gives it time to age on the lees. And what that does is it helps bring that texture, that creaminess to the flavor of the wine, and it helps balance those fresh fruit flavors. The other half of the wine is aged in and fermented in stainless steel to retain that crisp freshness. For people, there's a lot of people out there who say, oh, I don't like Chardonnay, anything but Chardonnay, ABC. And what I always say is just try it. Just try a little bit. You don't have to finish it. Just have a sip. And if I'm at a wine tasting or with people. And a lot of people who don't like Chardonnay really enjoy ours because of the balance, because of the fresh flavor and the kind of combination. It's got a little something for everybody, right? You've got a little bit of that freshness and some of that nice softness. It's not overly, the barrel does not jump out at you. It's just a nuance to create a very, very beautifully balanced wine. This Chardonnay will pair beautifully with so many things, especially here around the holidays. This is really great with just a simple roast chicken. It's a wonderful wine to have if you're putting a bunch of appetizers together. It's also really good all by itself. So I hope you guys don't have glasses. Shannon and Lisa, where are your glasses?
I will be having one off camera at 7:01.
I feel silly drinking by myself.
I promise I will be joining you in spirit.
Excellent. Thank you. One of the things that makes Bogle so unique, I talked a little bit about how much we've grown. We have grown to be a very large winery. Our wines are available in all 50 states, as well as 40 different countries around the world. But one of the things that sets Bogle apart is the fact that every single field lot, so for example, this Chardonnay, every single field of Chardonnay that we grow or that is grown by one of our grower partners is picked, vinted independently. From the very minute it starts in the field and it's picked and it's brought to the winery, it gets crushed on its own independently, it gets fermented on its own independently, and then it gets aged either in stainless steel or barrel independently. We don't bring all the Chardonnay fields in one day and make one big vat of Chardonnay. We keep everything separate, and that allows for a couple things. It allows for our winemakers to trace quality all the way back to the vineyard. It allows them to really kind of work with a piece of ground, evaluate the land, evaluate what needs to happen, and work with either my brother if he's growing those grapes or one of our grower partners to work with them to say, how do we want these grapes to come into the winery? So nothing is a surprise. When the truck rolls up to the winery and Eric takes a look at it, he doesn't look at it and go, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do with this? He knows exactly what he's getting from every single vineyard around Northern California that we are bringing in. It also allows Eric to pick wines that he to pick lots and put them together in various projects. So this Chardonnay, as I said, is a blend of Chardonnay that goes through barrel fermentation and stainless steel fermentation. Eric might take some of the barrel fermentation lots, and if he just sees something a little special or a little different, he might let it age an extra 6 months or so to maybe make a reserve for our tasting room, or to put it in if it's a red wine, maybe it goes into our Phantom collection or it goes into our Juggernaut collection. So it allows us to really fine tune which lots are perfect for which of our projects.
I have to be honest, Jody, I'm very excited to hear about the Phantom product.
Yep.
So I have some questions of my own that I will be
Well, then let's move on to the next wine, because I want to make sure we have plenty of time for questions. And how are we doing for time? Okay, I think we're good. I want to make sure we don't get shortchanged, because I want you to have that glass of wine at 7:01, Shannon. 7:01. All right, the next wine I want to share with everybody is our Bogle Pinot Noir. I love Pinot Noir. I don't love it as much as I think real Pinot fans love it, because people who love Pinot, right? Pinot just has such an, I mean, it's just people, it's almost a cult following for people who love Pinot. What I enjoy about our Pinot Noir is the fruit is from several different regions. We're sourcing fruit from the Russian River Valley, which is arguably the best location in California, United States, to grow Pinot Noir. We're also sourcing from our state vineyards here in Clarksburg, as well as some fruit from the Central Coast. I love the smell. The Pinot is beautiful. We aged this Pinot in French oak, about 12 months. That's another thing that definitely sets Bogle apart. All of our wines are aged in real oak casks. We don't use chips, we don't use dust, we don't use staves, we don't use additives. There is nothing that can replicate what time in a barrel can do for a wine. We believe that, our winemaking team believes that. And so every single wine of Bogle that has barrel influence, it's not seeing a barrel, it is in that barrel, it is living in that barrel and taking all the goodness from that barrel, just like, winemaking centuries ago. So the Pinot has some really beautiful flavors of dark cherry, a little bit of cola. It's got some really, really nice strawberry, deep, like dark strawberry, like almost like strawberry jam after strawberries have been kind of cooked, like a strawberry rhubarb pie. The French oak on this gives it a really, really beautiful kind of spicy baking spices on the finish. Again, just a nuance to balance with the fruit. And this would be a very, very good wine to pair with, say, if you are, I love this wine with any kind of mushroom dish, like a stuffed portobello mushroom, or with stuffed portobello with goat cheese, right? Maybe some sun-dried tomatoes on top. It sounds good. Lisa's nodding. She's thinking about dinner tomorrow night, I can tell. So this is beautiful. It's also wonderful with aged cheeses, like Gruyere. You could do you can tell I'm hungry. You could do a scalloped potato, like a gratin, right? With some beautiful cheese and some mushrooms in it. Just mix it all together. Cook it, cheesy goodness. There you go.
I'm on board. You said cheese.
Yes.
I'll be over for dinner.
Yeah.
Well, dinner tonight is not that exciting. I knew it was going to be a long day today, so I threw leftover from Thanksgiving. I threw leftover turkey and some wild rice in a pot. I got a turkey rice soup tonight going on. I did throw a little bit of Bogle Viognier in it this morning, so it can't be bad, right? It's got lots of wine in it. So that's our Pinot, and again, well balanced. It's a medium body style wine. So this again is something that can start your evening. I think it's something that people who don't always love maybe those big, heavy, really full bodied wines. It's a nice starter red for folks who are predominantly white wine drinkers. Okay. Should we move on to Phantom? I know Shannon's excited to hear about a Phantom.
The story behind the
Phantom.
Yes, I'm very excited to hear this.
Phantom.
By the way, that we do have actually someone comment on their Zoom that they are drinking Phantom 2017 right now, which is on sale at our New Hampshire Liquor and Wine outlets for $18.99. So for those of you that are,
thank you so much. I hope. Well, you'll have to tell me, what are you getting from it? What flavors? Tell us as I go through the story. I think Shannon can read your chat. You tell us what it tastes like. So the Phantom story, what's so fun, we started making Phantom in 1999. That was the very first vintage. We started with the red blend, and we decided we wanted to make a reserve selection wine. We wanted to make something that was a little bit different. And so we sat around with Eric, the winemaker, myself, my mother, my older of the two brothers, and our sales manager at the time. And we thought, we have this beautiful Zinfandel that we have been sourcing for our old vine Zinfandel. 60 to 80-year-old vines, really spicy, peppery, juniper, lots of amazing flavors, just really kind of a passionate flavored wine, right? And then on the same token, we have our Petit Syrah, our heritage varietal, which is rich and luscious in texture and just inky and jammy. And we thought a marriage of the two would just be remarkable. So we tinkered and toyed and played and added a whole bunch of things together and came up with a blend that was about 50% Zin, 50% Petit. And at the time, the very first vintage had a tiny bit of Mourvedre in it. And so that was the easy part because the wine was delicious. We ended up all those tastings, our teeth were nearly black. And so we were trying to figure out what we wanted to call the wine. And some of the names we came up with were like Blacktooth 7, because there were 7 of us around the table. We had Starship. I mean, we had some crazy names. And so at the end of the day, my mom said, well, Bogle is the Scottish word for ghost. And so that was how the name Phantom was born. Our family actually emigrated from Scotland in the 1700s. So we originated near Glasgow. And legend has it that, and actually I can corroborate this because I've seen it, I've been there and found it. There is a place called the Bogle Stone. So just a few miles from the town of Kilmacombe, the little village of Kilmacombe, there's a huge granite stone. It's about 8 feet tall and 20 feet wide. It's huge black granite. And the legend has it, at the time, Kilmacombe was a dry town. There was no alcohol to be had anywhere in the town. So men who wanted to imbibe had to walk down the hill along the River Clyde to the port of Glasgow where they could, debauchery and gluttony all around. And so the stories that we have heard is that the men that didn't make it back from the port of Glasgow were taken by the Bogle at the stone. Now, we like to think that our Phantom is not quite that nefarious. In fact, we know it's not that nefarious. Several people believe that they have seen the Phantom here on our property, in our cellar. We actually have we have made some films that have recreated some of those sightings. And so if you were to go, I think it's phantomwines.com, and you can see you can actually see some reenactments of some of these experiences that our staff have had. There are some people who won't work alone at night in the cellar because they believe they are not alone. Now, I happen to believe that the Phantom is a friendly Phantom, a helpful Phantom, and he or she is simply making sure that we are doing everything right, making the wine. The ghost of grandpa, mom, or dad, kind of watching out for us, making sure we're doing okay. That's my belief. That's who I believe Phantom is. The wine hasn't changed very much since we made those first vintages in '99. This is the 2017 vintage. And this is a blend. It's actually 52% Petit Syrah and 48% Zinfandel. So it's just the 2 varietals this year. It ages for an additional year in oak. So instead of just the 12 months like the Pinot Noir, this wine sees 24 months in 1- and 2-year-old American oak. So it's going to be a little bigger, a little rounder. It's going to have some really concentrated edges, some real development of flavor, texture, and aromatics. One of the things I didn't mention when I was talking about Eric being able to hand select lots because we vent everything independently, Phantom is one where Eric will go through and select the best lots of Petit Syrah and the best lots of Zinfandel for Phantom. That's why it's not as widely available. That's why we don't make as much of it, because we don't want to take too much off the top, of course, of our other varietals. but we do want the wine to really sing and to be a reserve selection. So, oh yeah, I thought, wow, the aromatics on this are pretty incredible, actually. I love that it's got that mixture of the rich berry and the fierce spice, and just some really, really beautiful baking spice notes. A little creme brulee, a little kind of burnt sugar on the finish. It's also a really fun wine. I know it's hard to tell, but it actually doesn't have a label. The label is actually printed right on the bottle. It's very cool.
I knew the story would not disappoint, but now you're sharing even more, and I'm like, this is great. And actually, Joanne, who is tasting along with us, she did provide her own tasting notes. So she was saying spicy cinnamon, deep red fruit, warm cherry and blackberry with a velvety palate finish.
I think she nailed it.
Yeah.
Yes, she's got it. Good job. Do you need a summer job? Come on out. No, she nailed it. Phantom is a really great wine to pair with some richer dishes. Because of the Petite Syrah, I often like to pair this with game, like venison or elk, or something even like lamb, something that has some bigger flavors and textures. It's a great counterbalance to those flavors. Anything that just has that big, rich kind of flavor. Although to be honest, 2 nights ago, I had this with like French bread pizza. It was pretty darn good. So it elevated the French bread pizza, let me just say. Awesome. Okay. Any other questions, Shannon, about the Phantom?
Well, so actually just kind of glass in general. So people are taking note at like the size of your glass, the stem. So do you have a preference from wine to wine, or just a preference in general?
It really depends on the event for me. I mean, I'm a busy mom, so most nights I'm drinking wine out of a coffee cup that is left over from the morning. So I am not the right person to ask about glassware. There are people who, I mean, Riedel and Spiegelau and some of the other glass producers have made have spent lots and lots of money designing glass to be perfect with a style of wine. I think I've tried the Pinot glass for the Riedel, but other than that, I haven't tried them. I'm sure they do an amazing job, but I might not be the target demographic for that.
Well, Joanne, our tasting I don't even know what you would call it. She's your new your intern, Joanne, your tasting intern.
There you go.
She would like to know how long you would age this.
Great question. So if it's okay, Joanne, I'm going to kind of speak to that regarding all the wines. So our wines, because of the price point, are generally made to be enjoyed right away. The Chardonnay and the Pinot that we just tasted are absolutely enjoyable now. The Pinot will age for a year or two, but the Phantom, because it's a reserve selection, you can age that for several years. I have several Phantoms. We have verticals lined up that we taste every now and then, and even a Phantom as far back as 05, 08, 2010 is showing beautifully. Petite Syrah ages very, very well, and it kind of carries the Zinfandel along. So they will age. Truth be told, again, you're talking to the woman who drinks it out of a coffee cup at night. I'm not very good at aging my wine. I open it and I drink it and I just enjoy it. So there's no rules, but the Phantom and the next wine, the Juggernaut Cabernet that we're going to talk about, will age for 5 to 10 years or so. One of the things that I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about is our sustainability program here at Bogle. Lisa's in the vineyard. You can see it. She's there. Those are beautifully sustainably farmed vines, Lisa. We have In 2010, my brother Warren brought the Lodi Rules Sustainability Program to us and said, I would really like to do a trial with a couple of our vineyards in this program. I think it's at the time it was cutting edge. It was a new program. There were very few programs in California, and Warren got involved right away. And I remember being kind of surprised because at the time we're farming, I don't know, 1,500 acres of grapes. That's a lot of, I mean, he wanted to start small and see how it went, but it's a huge investment. That's a huge, it's a huge commitment. And I remember asking him and saying, I'm surprised that you're so all in with this, that you feel so strongly about it. And he said, hey, look, in this program, I'm really not doing much different than what Dad and Grandpa taught me to do. It's just more paperwork. So for us, we've really always farmed this way. It's about water management. It's about pest management. It's about, and not just in the vineyard, but also it translates all the way into our practices in the winery, our solar, our use of energy, our use of reclaiming water. Every drop of water that we use in the winery is reclaimed and reused, either land applied for crops in our area or reused in other places in the winery. So it's very important to us to do the right thing. We are the 6th generation. Our kids are the 7th generation. And so we feel that it is our job to keep this business as strong and we're stewards of it, right? It's our job to keep it there and have it ready for them if they want to be a part of it, if they want to keep it going. But we can't do that if we don't take care of it. And so for us, it's the right thing to do. And when Warren saw great success in 2010, slowly over the next 3 years, we put all of our vineyards into the Lodi Rules program, which is actually, Warren's been so much a part of directing the program. He was on the board for a little while, that they have, the Lodi Rules is now called California Rules. So you will actually see that designation on the back, that logo on the back of our bottles. Because we want to really showcase the fact that it's an important thing for us to farm these vines and to make this wine sustainably. And we want people to feel good about it, to know that, when they buy a bottle of Bogle, it's been farmed with the utmost care and respect and kind of, stewardship of the land. So not only do we have all of our estate acres under the program, in 2012, we asked our grower partners to be a part of the program as well. And we started paying a bonus to those growers, those outside grower partners who grow grapes for us. Every ton that they brought in that was certified, we paid them a bonus on top of their regular contract. In 2016, we made it mandatory for our outside growers to be a part of the program. We continued to pay the bonus, but we made it mandatory. And in 2017, the 2017 vintage, 92% of all of our vines, all of the grapes that were crushed at Bogle, both all of a Bogle estate fruit and then the outside grow fruit, 92% was certified sustainable. And last year we got it up to 96. So for us, that is a huge accomplishment because we're talking about, that is a lot of grapes. So people can feel really, really good about what they have in their glass when they pour it out of a bottle of Bogle. Shall we move on to the last wine, the Juggernaut?
Very excited about this label design. So I'm hoping you
So Juggernaut is our newest project. We are very, very excited about Juggernaut. Several years ago, Eric was noticing in his, as he tasted every single lot that comes into the winery, he was noticing that the Cabernet grapes that were grown on hillsides had some real interesting and complex characteristics. And he really wanted to explore that. So he started toying around with those vineyards, putting them together in kind of some trial blends. And so we had a wine in our tasting room for a couple of years that was available just to our wine club that was called Reverence. and it was largely those Cabernet vines. After a couple years of that being really popular and people really liking it, we realized that we were onto something. We wanted everyone to be able to try it. So we created Juggernaut. And we felt that the grapes, the fruit, the resulting wine was so remarkable and brave and just big and bold. And we wanted to really indicate that with what's on the bottle. So I know it's really hard to see, but there's this gorgeous, fierce lion on the front of this label. The artwork was drawn for us, and it's just it's the movement in the label that people who we have people all the time call us and say, I need a poster of that for my wall. People really appreciate the artwork that went into the talent that is in this drawing. I love his turquoise fingernails. I think that's really fun. So we are so excited about this as a new product for us. Again, it is a reserve selection, a reserve line for us. And we're going to be adding to it in the next year. So keep your eyes peeled. I don't know if I'm supposed to say anything, so I'm not going to say anything other than that.
Lips are sealed.
Excellent.
New Hampshire will keep your secrets.
All right, so the Juggernaut, it's 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. It's 100% hillside Cabernet. We've got Cabernet from Sonoma County, the Sierra Nevada foothills, and the Central Coast, as well as the North Coast, Alexander Valley. It has, it's got a beautiful, beautiful nose. 11 months in new French oak barrels. So that's something a little different. Most of our traditional line of wines that have the Bogle label are in American oak. And so the Juggernaut sees new French oak. Dense, velvety, lots of vanilla on this one. It's really unique. It's really, really remarkable. So this wine, this wine would pair, I don't know, I just think you got to go big steak with this one. Big ribeye, right? With some nice blue cheese butter melting over the top. And then we'll have our potatoes on the side.
The cheesy scalloped potatoes.
Yeah, yep. Cheesy scalloped potatoes on the side, the big steak, 2 glasses of wine. We got it. We're all set. Weekend's done, right? Done and dusted. Any questions about the cab? This wine will age. It has some really grippy tannins. Not unpleasant at all, but if you like big cabs, you will love this wine. It's really remarkable.
We actually had another viewer sharing their own tasting notes because they're tasting along as well. We have
all right, let's hear it.
So he shared rich black cherry, leather on the nose, but old world on the palate, earth and spice.
Definitely get the leather. He's absolutely right. Yes, and the cherry. All right, another intern. We're just send them all out. We got plenty of grapes to crush. They can all
Careful,
stomp.
Jody, you're going to lose your job here.
I'll come out there and work with you guys.
Yeah. Hey,
it'd be awesome to spend a summer in New Hampshire. I love it.
And so how many cases were made of this?
You what? Sorry?
How many cases were made?
How many cases? We don't make, again, just like the Phantom, we don't make as many cases of this as our regular line of wines because these are select vineyards. So we make a much smaller amount. It's I want to say about 60,000 cases of this wine.
Lisa, we carry both the Juggernaut and the Juggernaut and the Phantom in our stores, correct? Oh, it looks like you might be muted.
Sorry, a little technical difficulty there. Yes, we do. We sell all of these wines that we've tasted tonight
And we have some great pricing as well. We have the Chardonnay, which is $7.45 for the month of December, and the Pinot Noir is $10.99, great price. The Juggernaut is $19.99, and the Phantom is $18.99. So, you know, we've carried these wines for many years, starting with, you know, the Chardonnay and all, of course, the all popular Merlot as well. But we started carrying Bogle Wines like back in 1992.
Yeah.
And we've just increased and you know, graduated with them when they brought in new wines like the Phantom and Juggernaut. We've went on board and just brought these great deals and these great wines to New Hampshire.
You guys, it's been a great partnership. It has been a long time. I was so lucky to get to work there, gosh, many years ago, before a lot of things, long time ago. I would say the early 2000s was what last time I was out there. So as soon as we can travel again, I'm ready. I'm game. I'd love to come out and visit again and get to meet you guys, because this has been so much fun. And I'm happy now to take any questions, or if you guys have any questions, or if anybody out there in the group has any questions, I'm happy to kind of.
Jody, do you think this is a good time to do our trivia question for our $50 liquor and wine outlet gift card? All right. So for those of you that hopefully have been on with us from the very beginning, Jody shared.
Do I get to answer? No?
What?
Okay.
No, don't answer. For those of you that have joined from the beginning, Jody was talking about the history and the farming and everything and how it started as far as her grandfather. And so our trivia question tonight to win that gift card is, what are the two types of grapes that her grandfather first planted on their farm? So go ahead and comment Facebook and Zoom. All right, and people are starting to enter in. And so while we're collecting those answers, I will introduce the 90 Days Around the World promotion for everyone. So as you all know, we've done quite a few events so far, and we've just had such a blast with this whole promotion. For those of you that are new to it, we are inviting industry leaders like Jody to speak with us in events like this, to bring kind of that personalized touch to you know, New Hampshire. So we're offering all of our viewers the chance to win some amazing prizes as they taste along and just learn the histories behind these great products. So the grand prize offers someone the chance to build their own at-home bar with a $2,500 gift card to the New Hampshire Liquor and Wine Outlets. And so not only are you going to have the chance to win the gift card, you're also going to have exclusive one-on-one guidance from our team of experts. So you can be sure to pick all the right products to stock your bar with. I would personally suggest a bunch of bottles of Bogle Wines, but that's just me. So entering for your chance to win is super, super simple. You just need to head to your app store and download the Scavify app. That's spelled SCAVIFY. And basically you're going to earn points for every event that you join with us by entering a code word that we'll provide during each event. So tonight, you're going to want to keep the code word in mind. It is family owned. So tonight's code word on the Scavify app is family owned. All of these details can be found on our 90daysaroundtheworld.com website. So if you're interested in joining us and interested in winning a $2,500 gift card, please be sure to check out the site and download that Scavify app. So the more points you earn, the bigger the prizes that you'll be entered to win. So good luck to everyone. And it looks like we have selected a winner. It looks like it is David B. from the Zoom chat. So David, I will go ahead and get your contact information and we will reach out to you via email. So Jody, what were the wines, the grape names?
The two grapes were, David got it right, Chenin Blanc and Petit Syrah. So good job. Cheers, David. Well done.
Great. All right. So we absolutely have some questions. We actually had someone comment that they have visited the vineyard and they said it was an amazing experience. They wanted to thank your family for making it so great. They said it was beautiful. So the vineyard isn't currently open right now for any events or tastings, right?
No, we're not. You know, we didn't reopen after the initial shutdown in March because it just has kind of gone back and forth, closed open. And we just decided we were going to take this opportunity to make some long needed improvements around here. So there's a lot of construction going on right now. There's a backhoe down over here. We got cement we're waiting to pour, but it started raining. So we've got some long needed improvements that we thought, you know what, we might as well just take this time so that when we can reopen, we can create that amazing experience for all of our guests. In, you know, previous times and when we do reopen, we are open 7 days a week. And everybody on the call has an open invitation. Please, if you ever make it out to Northern California, please come visit us. We're about 2 hours from the San Francisco airport, and it's a beautiful drive. You can drive right up the river, just like those first settlers did. You could even probably get a boat and come right up like the settlers did. But it's a beautiful drive and a beautiful place to experience California. We are off the beaten path. There are a few other wineries out here now. When we first opened this tasting room, I was actually not working at the winery full time because the winery was still so small. I was teaching English. And so I would come out on the weekends with a pile of papers to grade or a novel. And I might have to get up 1 or 2 times, you know, to help somebody to pour wines and talk about the family and talk about the property and the home ranch. And now before we closed on the weekends, we had upwards of 500-600 people come through every weekend. So it's changed quite a bit. And so we needed this opportunity to kind of reset and rescale what we do here. So when we reopen, we will be open for daily tastings. We'll have a little picnic area, and hopefully if any of you make it out to Northern California, please come see us. We would love to have you.
Love it. So we actually have someone on Facebook asking, you had mentioned something about having a wine club earlier on tonight. And so they're asking about that.
You know what? I need to text to make sure we do have a wine club. Before we start talking about it and get everybody excited, let me make sure that we can ship to New Hampshire. Does Robbie, do you know if we can ship to New Hampshire?
Hey, Jody, we've never done it before, so I don't think we can. But again, I can't be 1,000% sure on that. But in all my 15 years, we've never done it. So
we have opened up new states in the last. We just with the shutdown, we've had some time to work on some projects that we put off a lot of time. So we have a little e-commerce shop now. So we have added more. So I'm just, if you'll, sorry.
No worries.
I don't know this. If you'll give me just a second, I can look it up and see. The wine club is great. What's fun is that our wine club members have the opportunity to try wines that you won't find at the NHLC. It's going to be a single vineyard Pinot Noir from the Russian River Valley. Or like I said, the wine club got kind of that first iteration of Juggernaut. You're going to have the first opportunities to try some really fun things. New Hampshire has a little dot in it and it's new. So we can ship now. Yay, Robbie, how about that? We can now ship.
That's awesome.
To New Hampshire. So yes,
did that just change, Jody? That just changed? Did that just change? Okay, cool.
Yes. So
right
if you go to our website, boglewinery.com, and click on Wine Club, it will give you some information about the Wine Club. And then you can just sign up right there online. But again, it's roughly 4 shipments a year. There's no cost to be in the wine club. It's a free club. The only cost is for the wine. And unfortunately, your side of the country, the shipping. But I think those of you who buy wines from California a lot, you're probably not used to that. So we have, and we do, for the wine club, we have special deals and we send out recipes. In fact, maybe we should be putting together recipes for all the things we talked about tonight and sending them out. So it's fun. We, in fact, on a week from yesterday, next Thursday, I'm hosting a wine club mixer, very much like this, for our wine club, because we can't get everybody together here. And so this is an opportunity for our wine club mixer members to come in, and Eric, the winemaker, and I are going to have Santa hats on. We're going to taste through the December wine club selection, and we're going to have some fun with our club members. So it's just, it's a little club. It's fun, but it gives people the opportunity to try some things that you might not see out in the retail market.
So fun. So we also have another question on our Zoom chat from Chris. And he'd like to know personally what your favorite Bogle wine is.
That's like asking me which one of my kids I like the best. You can't ask that question because it's different. Depends on how they're acting.
Answer if that one's not in the room with you. I mean, there's
right.
loopholes to it.
So I drink, I'll be very honest, I drink an obscene amount of our Sauvignon Blanc. It might be a little bit of a problem. If our warehouse manager, if his numbers don't match up on the Sauvignon Blanc, he just writes it off to Jody took it. I really enjoy the Juggernaut. We've been enjoying quite a bit of that at home. I had a little bit of, I mentioned earlier, I had some of our Viognier, which is one of those wine club wines the other night. It's beautiful. Her Old Vine Zinfandel is pretty remarkable, and that's available pretty much everywhere. So it just depends on what mood I'm in and what I want to enjoy for the night. So I'm kind of an equal opportunity wine drinker.
Sorry, we have another question on Facebook regarding the barrel selections. So you talked about how the Juggernaut had offered, I believe it was a French oak. Now, how do you make those choices between each product? Is it just kind of a trial error?
Well, you know, our winemaker, Eric, does play around with lots of different types of oaks. So he may take a little bit of one vineyard of Chardonnay and put some in French and some in American, maybe like 2 barrels in French, just to kind of play around, just to see what happens. And then if he likes it, he might do something fun with that the next vintage, or he might, or if he doesn't, he'll just fold it into the rest of the wine. A lot of times we look at traditional pairings. So for example, the Pinot sees French oak because Pinot Noir is a French varietal, and the French oak is very traditional. It's a very traditional kind of counterpart. The French oak gives Pinot a little bit more of a mid-weight, kind of a weight in the mid-palate. It beefs it up a little bit. But for our American oak choices, Eric, for example, the Chardonnay, he just really likes how American oak pairs with the fruit in the Chardonnay, those fruit flavors. He just feels like they marry very well. So it is a lot of trial and error. There's really no wrong answers. It's just learning and experimenting and doing a lot of tasting. But to be fair, I mean, Eric tastes every single tank, every single barrel, but he also has a really big spit bucket. I still don't know how he does it. He has an amazing palate. He's really quite a remarkable winemaker. We are lucky to have him.
And also related to the barrels, seems to be a popular trend. Do you guys rotate your barrels during the aging process at all?
Yep. So barrels are not cheap, right? I talked about how we don't use any of the additives, which can reduce your cost. Barrels for a wine that comes in at our price point, I mean, that's a big investment, right? So we use our barrels for 7 years. The Chardonnay, because as I let you know earlier, the Chardonnay is our #1 varietal. We make more Chardonnay than we make of any of our other varietals. So every year we're buying new barrels for the Chardonnay. And then after it spends 1 year in the Chardonnay, Those barrels will go to another program. They'll go into the Cabernet. Some will go into the Phantom, the 1 and 2 year old barrels. So they'll kind of go down the line from the Cabernet. Then you've got 3 and 4 year old barrels that go into the Zinfandel, the Petit Syrah, so on and so forth. So we're using those barrels until they go neutral at about 7 years. And even then we will age and hold some of the wines in neutral barrels, just to kind of, it's the best way to hold wines. You get this, you get an evaporation through the staves that concentrates the wine and concentrates flavors. Even if it's a neutral barrel, it's not imparting flavors, but it's taking what's inside the barrel and kind of, tightening it up, really concentrating it. So there's so many benefits to using real oak casks. So it's a commitment that we feel very strongly about. And then they become planters. We actually, believe it or not, after all these years, originally American oak got a bad name, got a bad rap when wineries first started using it, because the only American oak that wineries could find were old whiskey barrels, old bourbon barrels. And so they really got a bad rap because they weren't made for wine. Cooperage companies got smart and they started bringing French coopers, French barrel makers, over here to teach them how to make barrels for wine. And American oak barrels really are the quality is just as exceptional as the French oak barrel. It just imparts different flavors. It just has, the grain is different in the wood. So you get different characteristics and different properties to the wines, depending on what you're trying to achieve. So there's barrels are a science. They are really, it's very technical, and how much the amount of char, the amount of, time, it's really very, very remarkable. Winemaking is an art and a science. And so you have to have both sides of the brain to do it. So we've got a great team. We really do. They know their stuff.
All right, so I will end on this last question, and it's kind of a big thinker, so I'll give you a moment. But what makes Bogle different?
I believe that what makes Bogle different, it's the culture that we have here at Bogle. Your word for Scabify?
Yes,
Your word for Scabify was family owned. And there are a lot of family owned wineries, but I believe that family feel is pervasive through everything we do. We have employees who have been with us for 10, 15, 20, 30 years. We had somebody celebrating a 30-year anniversary this year, and they're part of our family. Because everyone is part of that family, and because we're all in this together, we all have those same values. We all want to produce the best bottle of wine at whatever price point we're doing. So the Bogle traditional line, we want it to be the best $10 bottle of wine you can get. The Juggernaut, we want it to be the best $18 bottle of wine you can get. It's very, very important for us because our name is on the bottle. And even though Robbie LeBlanc's last name isn't Bogle, although I think we probably have tried to adopt him once or twice, he's a part of the family, as is our entire staff. And so I know that he cares just as much about that bottle as we do. And so to know that we have a team out there that is family just makes all the difference to us.
Well, Jody, it's been a pleasure. I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. This has been so much fun.
Thank you for having me. This was great. It's only 4:00 here. Does that mean I get to go home? Am I done?
Absolutely. You already started drinking, so the boss might kick you out.
Well, it's about time for you to go get a glass, though, and you too, Lisa. I would really like to thank you guys. I'd like to thank Martignetti for putting this together. everybody at the NHLC, Shannon, Lisa, and Craig, thank you so much for putting this together. This was my pleasure. And again, when we can move around the country, please come visit us. We would love to host you here at Bogle.
Yeah, Jody, we'd like to say thank you to you for taking the time tonight. It's so great to see a large winery still be family owned. And, you know, you guys are doing a great job to continue sustainability practices. And that's so important. And we just, you know, love, New Hampshire loves Bogle. But thank you so much for doing this. And all the wines that Jody tasted tonight with you guys are available in all of our state liquor stores. And, you know, we have several other varieties that they sell as well. So check them out. We've got some great pricing for the month of December as well. Thank you, Jody.
Thank you, you guys. Have a wonderful holiday. Happy holidays, everybody.
So
if you have a glass of wine, cheers.
For those of you that are still watching, if you enjoyed tonight's event, please be sure to go onto our 90daysaroundtheworld.com website to check out some of the future events that are going to be coming next week, the week after. We've got a great lineup. And so those of you that may have missed that code word earlier tonight, again, it's family owned. So just in the next week or so, we've got Macallan Whiskey, we've got Jack Daniels. So definitely want to go to that 90daysaroundtheworld.com website and check out and see what events you might enjoy. So if you have any further questions for Jody, please don't hesitate to reach out on Facebook, and we will do our best to get them all answered for you. I'm sure Jody would be more than happy to answer countless amounts of questions at the dinner table.
Yep, no problem.
Again, thank you so much, Jody, and thank you everyone for joining us tonight, and we hope to see you all again next week.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.